All right, good morning, guys. Today is Monday, May 15th, and as usual, we'll be going over analysis for US 30, gold, and EU. So personally, I'm up what is it? 3% for the day. I took a AU reversal last weekend. So yesterday, if you guys remember, I put it in the Discord that there was a AU reversal coming in. I was away from the charts, but I was looking at it from my phone. So, I mean, it wasn't a trade I sent out. I only send out trades if I see them on my charts, but I sent this just as a heads up. I'm away from the charts, but I can see AUD, USD meeting the conditions for a reversal. So the trade, I took profit for the AU sell, AU buy. CAD JPY, this CAD JPY actually took, I think on Thursday or Friday, was from the breakout indicator, and the EU was the reversal. So some of like when and as we wait for the market to stabilize, because we don't trade the first 10 minutes of New York Open, we'll just wait for the for the market to stabilize. But for example, AUD USD, right? This I could tell because again, the reversal indicator, it's based off of my logic. So, and I know, I don't know if Livy is here, but Livy asked me if I can, I'll just wait for him. But I mean, I can go over it later. But a trend, you normally identify a trend after the fact or in the middle of the trend going on. So you cannot identify a trend before it happens. Now, if you're using the breakout scanner indicator, sure, you can possibly catch like right now, I'm actually in a USD CHF sell right now. It's not, I didn't call it, I didn't send it to the group. I was actually doing a live session, one-on-one session this morning with another member. And when I was demoing how to use the breakout scanner, we found that USD CHF was breaking to the downside on the 15-minute time frame. So here, if I go on the 15-minute time frame, I don't know if it's still there, but that's how, and I'm still in the USD CHF sell. So it's currently in profit. But one of the things we might like, if my strategies have a 80% win rate, there is no like just get in, use proper, so long as you always use proper risk and always have a TP and stop loss for any trade that you take. So the first thing of any trade that you take with me is the trade valid. That is the first thing. If the trade is not valid, if you're FOMOing, then step away from it. But I cannot insist this enough, and I try to push this as much as I can in this group, because I wish when I started trading, somebody really pushed risk management and making sure a trade is valid before I entered, because I would have literally shortened my learning curve. So when I tell you guys, literally, you've seen this on the live session. You've seen my trades have a high win rate. So, and the logic that I have these indicators built on is the same logic as me. So these indicators are like, if you had me by your side trading 24 hours, 5 days a week. So if the logic makes sense, enter the trade, have a fixed TP, have a fixed stop loss. Remember, you're never going to win 100% of the trades that you take. But if you have a 80% win rate, it means that you almost always win 8 out of 10 trades. So even though you take a loss, if the trade made sense to you and you took the loss, that is fine. That is, losses are normal. But anyway, so here AU, I noticed the trend around this point. So again, I wasn't in front of the charts, but I was just observing it because I knew Fridays were pretty much for continuations or reversals. So when I noticed this, what's the first thing you do? You identify your point of interest. So your point of interest or point of reference is the area before. So for example, this time I was looking for buys, right? So as much as I could have caught sells, I said, I would rather want this to keep dipping. So I identified my point of interest. So for me, my point of interest, I normally try to do round numbers. So you're looking at the last area where price was consistently above the 9 EMA. This is if you're looking for a sell. So for me here, this was about 0.66, 850, 880. Okay, so this right here, this is my point of interest. So I just go and mark that up. And then that's the first thing. So in here for the reversal, the settings for the indicator, again, if you're on the 5-minute time frame, this should be 1 or ideally a 1. The breakout pips should be 30 or 40. And if you're using the 5-minute time frame, play around with the close, right? So that I already have set. Then I come in here, I say, I'm looking for buys only. So here I come in here and turn off the sells so that I don't, I just don't want to get confused by the sells. And then I come in here, draw another arrow and say, I'm not interested in any buys that will show up 50 pips from my point of interest. So minus 50 pips, that is 0.66381. So I draw this all the way to keep going. So that would be around 381. 381. So that's the first, that's the second thing. What this will do, it will help you avoid FOMO. Okay, then you let the trade play out. So what you're looking for here, let me see if Livy already joined. Yeah. So what you're looking for here is price to stay consistently below the 9 EMA. So you don't want price closing above the 9 EMA for two or more consecutive candles. So one candle closing above the 9 EMA, that is fine. The trend is still valid, but you don't want one candle to close and the next candle to close. The other thing you want to consider, what time are you trading? Now, if it's Friday, and I'll show you guys where I entered this trade. If it's Friday, you normally expect them to fake people out before having the actual move on Sunday. So number one, is the trade valid? Does the trade make sense? So for me, I identified that, again, you'll never be able to identify. Well, if you're using the breakout scanner, yeah. If you're using this, like right now, US 30 is breaking out to the downside, sure, you can catch the trend that way. But for me, I would much rather try to catch a reversal, because the reversal will come after a trend has been confirmed. So I don't feel bad missing a trend, if that makes sense. And if you actually think about it, catching a, let me see what we got. That's weekly low, that's fine. And for the people who have the subscription, I already sent you guys access to the charts. What was I saying? So if I'm catching a reversal, I'm not interested in catching the trend, if that makes sense. I'm not interested in catching the trend that's going on right now. So for example, in this EAU reversal, I was looking for a buy. So I didn't have any confluences for a sell at that moment, but I looked at my phone. I was like, this is obviously a buy, because I could see price was had started in a trend. So I just did mentally marked this up because I wasn't in front of my chart. So I said, I'm not interested in any buy that will show up here. And since I developed this indicator, I mean, I knew what area I would look to enter. So I just waited for this to keep going. Right, this is what I want. Like this is what I wanted to see. In any case, I think price was around this this area when I identified the trend. Price must have been around this area. Yeah, because ideally you want to see price being consistently below. If you're looking for a buy, you want to see price being consistently below the 9 EMA. If you're looking for a sell, you want to see price being consistently above. So, and the wider the distance between the candles and the 9 EMA for a reversal, the better, because that will tell you that, hey, my threshold will more than likely be met. You don't want candles being too close to the 9 EMA, because what that will do, it will give opportunity for you to get faked out for multiple candles to close above or below. So you almost always see any reversal that I send, and I say it was a perfect reversal, the candles were so far away from the 9 EMA. So for example, this one, I wouldn't call, yeah, to some it's a trend. It's part of maybe a trend that started here, but this is what I don't want. This, right? This closures above the 9 EMA, I'm not interested, that to me invalidates the sell. Also, I don't want to see this price being too close to the 9 EMA. Now it can be close, but what you don't want to see, the major red flag of to invalidate a trend, is closure above. So for example, in this case where we're looking for a buy, is any closures above the 9 EMA consistently for like 3 5-minute candles within the 50 pip threshold. So for this trade, at this point, the trade to me was still valid. I keep going, keep going, keep going. Now you get this candle tried to close above, it didn't. The trend is still valid in my opinion. Keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, you had this 5-minute candle that closed above the 9 EMA. Now, what did the next candle do? The next candle, so this is still valid. If one candle closes above, the trend is still valid. What we don't want is a situation like this. This is why we have a point of interest, because when we are drawing the point of interest, we are looking at the last time candles were consistently above or below the 9 EMA. So having one candle close above or below, depending on what you're looking for, that's fine. Now you keep going, keep going. So for me here, actually, this is where I entered my first buy. So for me, the buy that I sent in the group, this is where I entered it. Now I entered this not based off of the indicator. I entered this trade based off of my own manual way of entering the reversal strategy. So I knew, I knew that excuse me, the day was on a Friday, so you were bound to be manipulated. So what I know about Fridays, as much as you can try to catch the bottom, they can keep going. And I think by then the time was about 3 p.m. or so. Now, if this trade came up around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I would not have entered. But by this time, it was about 3 p.m. and market was closing at about 5 p.m. So what do I know about Fridays? Fridays, you normally have continuation of a trend or a major reversal. So to me, the trend had already happened the previous 3 or 4 hours, right? If that makes sense. So at this point, since that made sense to me and it was 3 p.m., I entered this trade early around here. Now, this was valid entry because as much as remember, the indicator is going to give you the buy or sell signals based on all these inputs. Now, for me, as much as this was still within the 50 pip threshold, I just did the mental math. This is 448. The distance between this entry and the threshold was about 6 pips. So for this trade, I was going for 50 pips. So 6 pips, I mean, I really don't mind about that. Now, there's 2 ways to enter that. For me, I entered with full margin or my regular lot size for reversals. Now, for you, if this happens like on a Friday afternoon or end of New York session or mid-Asia season session, you can either enter with 50%. This is why I don't know if Desire is in here because Desire talked about the same thing. He said he had seen the AU reversal, but it came mid-Asia. So if these entries come in during beginning of Asia or end of New York session, use 50% of the lot size you would have used. But for me, when I did the math and the probability, I know what happens on Fridays. Again, I wasn't in front of my charts and I hate looking at my phone after I enter a trade. So for me, was it worth it? I just did the math. I just did for me these trades. I do 500 pips TP, 500 pips take profit. So ideally for reversals on FX pairs, I go double what I normally go on regular trades. So I was like 6 pips is not going to mess with my psychology for the rest of the day, so that I keep looking at my phone. So at that point, I just entered that trade. Went a bit into drawdown because you had some fake. Again, it's Friday, so I was prepared mentally for the fake outs that I know happen, and I entered with a 10 lot. So I was prepared mentally because I know that fake outs happen on a Friday. But for me, when I see an opportunity, nowadays I try, I've become so good at not looking at trades after I enter them on my phone. The reason for that is, and I cannot insist this enough, always have a set TP and stop loss on any trade you enter, whether it's a filler trade, whether it's any other trade. Number 2, use proper risk management. Number 3, which number 3 should be the first thing ever. Does the trade make sense? Is the trade valid based on our confluences? If all of those things line up, whether the trade hits stop loss, whether the trade hits take profit, get into the trade. Do not, the only reason anybody worries about any trades is they're over leveraging or they're FOMOing. So I let this trade ride. It was a bit in drawdown, but I knew what I was doing. I knew all my confluences were lining up. And then now at this point, this was the actual entry based off of all of our strategies, because price went down 50 pips away from our point of interest. And again, for me here, I just use round numbers just to make my entry or to make my calculation easier. So price went down 50 pips, met the threshold. So guess what? Met the threshold and literally came back above, gave you a buy signal. Now, right? The difference between me, both of them were valid positions, and the person who would have entered, say here, So for me, I only went into drawdown, what, 500, like 8 pips or 7 pips. But I knew what was happening. I knew how the trade, the probabilities were in my favor. So if you wanted to wait, that was your entry. And I think this is the one that came after Asia or mid Asia or something. So at this point, you just let the trade rise. And I remember when the price spiked all the way up. So this was, I think, a gap. This was a gap that during market open. Yeah. So, I'll just go to the end, and there you go. So both of the trades, this trade would have hit this trade would have hit full TP. There you go. The trade that I'm in, for me, I just exited early, came across. I might just start going for 40 pips TP, 40 pips stop loss. Because if I'm going for double what I normally go for on a regular lot size, on a regular trade, yeah. But I can, I cannot over insist this with you guys. And this is why I told you guys, take one of my strategies and master it. Take the reversal strategy, master it, pin that with the breakout scanner. That's all you need. You don't even need to trade live with me on the live session. And if a trade makes sense, go ahead and take it. Use proper risk management. Remember, this, especially the reversal strategy, has like about a 80% win rate. So long as you have that, don't think about all the worst things that could happen, right? It's all about psychology. So does anybody have any questions?
So you answer my question, right?
Mhm,
I did a reversal strategy trade on USD CAD last night.
mhm,
A sell. And the reason I asked you to go over that is because it kind of consolidated quite a bit
mhm,
before it eventually dropped down. But what I'm gonna do now is because I think I was over leveraging. I'm only gonna leverage high on the charge that you have marked up.
mhm,
When I do the reversal strategy last week, I got hit a lot because I was leveraging 1% on everything,
mhm,
and a lot of them went against me. So I only leveraged 0.25% last night,
mhm.
and I did a 1 to 2, so I made 500 off the trade. But if you look at USD CAD,
Wait, what sale did you take?
um, probably the last one.
Last one. Okay, yeah. So this was like, just even looking at it, you're right. This is automatically a trend because the point of interest is right here. So I'll just call it 900 just to help with math. 900 plus 500 pips is 35. 400. So you're not interested in any sales that came out here. So even though you took this first sell right here, did a 500 pip stop loss, 500 pip TP, you'd have still survived this trade, and this trade would have been in profit. Yeah. Yeah, so whether you took so all these cells up here were valid. This cell was valid, this cell was valid, this cell is valid. Yeah, this was a perfect reversal, and kudos to you for identifying that. Yeah. Yeah, so this
All right,
USD CAD,
cool.
it's obvious. And also, right, the other thing, use other confluence. I know I don't do markups for, and hopefully I'm going to get an indicator that does all my markups. So I want to take a
I'm
break a
getting better
little.
at spotting the sell and buy zones.
Mhm.
But it still helps a lot. It just gives you more
Yeah,
confidence with it when you get the actual
yep.
sell zones and buy
So
zones.
like, look at that. Like even for these cells, you'd have been, and same thing. I don't know if, because I was doing the one-on-one today with, what's his name? I don't know if he's here. Let me see, USDs, yeah, Lorenzo. So we were just going, I was just showing him how to use the indicators. And I think there was a breakout. Yeah. So when I looked at USD CHF, and this was on the 15-minute, I automatically, in fact, when we were doing the session with him, I told him, give me a second, let me hop into a sell on USD CHF. Like USD CHF, obviously, like I talk about structure, it's so obvious. Just looking at it, USD CHF, you have this move to the upside, so you expect there to be another move to the downside more times than not. So yeah, and I'm in that USD CHF. Yeah, but you're right. Just I'll try I'll try and get that indicator built based off of the markups that because even for me it takes like an hour and a half, and I do EU, US 30 and gold, and I do them every day. But yeah, but I'll talk to one of my programmers who's good at this, and I'll try and get that. Yeah, but so let's see what we have for today. So for US 30, of course, right, we have a death cross. And what do we know about death cross? Even just by looking at it, right? This was another trade right here. So number one, when you see a death cross or a golden cross, so for example, here we see a death cross. So the first thing, and I talked about this, when you see a death cross forming and you want to hop onto it, ask yourself if there's a death cross coming, then there was a golden cross, right? So the death cross is when the 9 EMA crosses the 200 EMA to the downside, or ideally when a lower time frame, is it lower time frame? Low moving EMA crosses a high moving, no, I'm sorry, when a high moving EMA crosses a slow moving EMA to the downside. So 9 EMA is a fast moving EMA. The 200 EMA is a lagging EMA because it's the average price for the last 200 days. So ask yourself, if you see a death cross, you automatically know there was a golden cross. So look at how valid the golden cross was. So the golden cross here was, this is May 15th, that's at 3, and this is at, so the golden cross was 10 hours ago. So a red flag of trading golden crosses and death crosses is if you have a death cross and if you look at price action, price had just been consolidating. So let me see if I can find it. So this, no, I know there's time. There's a time yesterday it was consolidating. Okay, no, that was during, so this, okay, yeah, so you see here, this is a death cross. However, if you know there was another golden cross, the golden cross was around here, but when the golden cross happened here, price was just consolidating. So the 9 EMA and the 200 EMA was so close to each other. So if you're looking valid golden crosses and death crosses, you want to observe after the death cross happens or after the golden cross happens, the 9 EMA and 200 EMA go far against each other. So you don't want to see that consolidation. And hopefully, if you have a death cross or golden cross, the previous cross needs to be a couple of hours away. So you don't want to have a golden cross right now on the 5-minute, and then there was a death cross 30 minutes ago. You don't want to have that. So for this one, if I was trading this, at this point, I was just doing markups for today, but I'm already up 3%. So I really don't care. So here, if I saw this golden cross, I would come back and say, let me see when the last death cross was. The last death cross here was about 10 hours ago. Okay, what happened? I'm sorry, the last golden cross. So what happened during the golden cross? The golden cross, when a golden cross or death cross happens, as we know, price is supposed to go against each other, or the EMAs are supposed to go against each other. Yes, this happened on this one. So I know here for this death cross, it's more than likely going to be valid. The price is going to drop heavily to the downside. So at that point, what do? You either find an early entry. So at this point, you don't have any markups. Price already rejected from my markups up here from the hourly bearish low, exactly to the pip. So here you really don't have any entries. So if you're trading, and this is a perfect example of trading a cross by itself. So if you're trading any cross by itself, a golden cross or death cross, and you do not have any markups, you don't have any bearish zones or bullish zones, wait for the retest. After it happens, just wait for it. Don't worry. If it goes, then it goes. But normally after a cross happens, you normally get a retest of the 9 EMA or 200 EMA. So at this point, if you're waiting on it, there it is. It already happened. So what are we waiting for here? We are waiting for the retest, and you don't have to, for the crosses, you don't have to wait for closure above or below. You just have to wait for that retest. So here you'd have your short position. And then you do, so this would be like a regular trade. So 50 pips TP or whatever it is that you do. So for me, I would have done 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. So I wouldn't have chased this sell. I would have known after a death cross, we expect the 9 EMA to be retested. So I'm just going to wait until we get that retest of the 9 EMA. So since this is a lagging indicator, and the other thing I told you guys, don't let, you're in chart replay mode. Don't let 10 or 20 pips keep you away from a trade. So at this point, I want to see how high this candle is. So right now, the high of this candle, 39 to 44. So this is like a 6 pip, 5 pip difference. So I want to see how high that candle went. Okay, so the high of this candle is still 39 to 41. So at some point, it was like 3 pips away. So if you're trading, again, same thing, if you're trading any cross by itself and you confirmed that the last cross was a couple of hours away and you confirmed there was no consolidation after the previous cross, don't let 5 or 2 pips keep you away from entering that trade. And we went over this last week on the live session where we entered, I think, yeah, US 30, same thing. So at this point, when price was above, somewhere above here, I would have jumped into the trade. Now, if you want to wait for the trade itself until price gets retested by the 90 MA, sometimes it will happen, but sometimes price will just go so far away from you. So you can see possibly the next area would have been, because the 90 MA is still lagging, so maybe somewhere around here. So you could have either caught this move or missed it. So you have to always make that distinction. Am I willing, jumping in 2 pips before my entry, is that going to make or break my trade? If it's not, go ahead and jump in it. And again, it's all about confidence. Know the win rate of a strategy, and then just play it out. So for right now, pretty much everything is bearish. US 30 is definitely bearish. Gold is bullish. Gold is very, very bullish. EU is still stuck. EU right now is still stuck. So let's see what we have. So US 30. So always think of this buy and sell zones or supply and demand zones. Think of green zones as where sellers are sitting. I'm sorry, buyers are sitting. Think of red zones as where buyers are sitting. And remember, price moves from one area of liquidity to another. So from one area of sellers to another area of buyers. So right here, instead of trading this zone right here, the first thing I normally do is draw trend lines. The only trend lines I would have right now is this high low to this high low, this lower high to this higher high, just trend lines. So we don't have trend lines right now where price is at. Even on the hourly, did I take that off? Oh, I'll go ahead and I'll put that back in. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Oh, did I? I think I took off that indicator from. I'll go in here, change this. Not interested in. You know what? I'll do this tomorrow. I wanted to draw a trend line on the higher time frame, but I don't need the I don't need the indicator to draw a trend line. So this is a trend line on the hourly. This is the other trend line right here. So right now, what do we have? So price is in no man's land. So there's nothing stopping, or there's nothing to keep price from coming back down. And if I know that price is supposed to keep from one area of liquidity to another, then we can buy here at around the 4-hour bullish low. On the other hand, we do have a daily bearish low here, which is a zone that the daily and monthly and weekly zones rarely come up. But we do have a 4-hour bullish low. We do have a supply zone, and then we do have a supply zone within a supply zone. Now, if price, so this is what I expect for US 30. I expect price. So right now, there's unfortunately no trade to take. So price to come fake out or grab buyers and then keep going down. And then here, go down here. So this is the deciding factor. So this daily bearish low, to me here, actually US 30 might be nice for a reversal, but that candle is too big. I do expect them to use this daily bearish high, drop US 30 to around 33,000. And at this point, take US 30 back down. So that's the pattern I expect for US 30. Gold. So you can see gold, we are in sell zones. However, now this is the other example, right? This golden cross, it happened, but we look at the previous death cross. The previous death cross was about 1240, like an hour ago. So this is not even a golden cross that I would have taken per se. Also, you can see US 30, we are in a supply zone within a supply zone. But we are nothing but supply zones going up. But you can see we have a 4-hour bullish low. So to me, I'm still bullish on gold. I still expect gold to go to 2050. Look at the hourly time frame. What can you guys see? This is an automatic pattern of inverse head and shoulders. So inverse head and shoulders come in here. And I saw this actually last week. I forgot to mention it on Friday. Left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, right shoulder here. There you go. So gold, I'm expecting gold to, and look at the hourly. We have a golden cross coming in on the hourly. The last, if we have a golden cross coming in on the hourly, the last death cross was 17. So this was what, 14, almost 18 hours ago. So this is a valid golden cross. So for me, I expect gold to go up. In any case, let me see something. 4-hour bullish low, I might take a buy on gold at the, now, same thing I said last time. Look at where price is at, do your analysis. So we have a 4-hour bullish low. As much as we're in supply zones within supply zone, look at the overall direction. Overall, and here's another trend line to help us. We're probably going to catch this buy. So overall, I've been anticipating gold. I first looked for it to go to 2032, which it exactly did. Then expected it to go to 2050, which it literally did. Now I'm expecting gold to go to 2050, no, 2027-ish, and then possibly to 2100. So for me here, my overall bias for gold is bullish. I've been expecting gold to go bullish since it was at 1812, and that was on the live session when I called gold to go to 2032. So right now, all these supply zones to me, they get invalidated. I have a high time frame order block right here, a 4-hour bullish low. I have a trend line on the 5-minute that's trending to the upside. And right now, if I turn on the trending channel on this high low plus trend indicator, you'll probably see that we are in a bullish zone. Perfect. So if I turn on this markups, turn off, you can see we're in a bullish zone. Now, ideally, I would want both of these channels to be trending to the upside. However, that's not a deal breaker for me. I just want to know that I am in a buy zone right here. So I go back here, turn this off. Now, does the trade make sense to me? Yes. Is the buy valid? Yes, it is. Again, you see all those sell zones. More than likely, that's where a lot of retailers are. They're seated waiting for gold to sell. So ideally, we really don't want to trade with the retailers, but we also want to apply our confluences. So for me here, an early entry for gold is, you normally want to ask yourself, either retest of 9 EMA, which price is retesting right now, retest of a high-low period, which is right now this high, or retest of trend line. So what is going to give you the best entry? So if you have a static trend line, what do we know about static trend line? Trend lines, price almost always gets retested at static trend lines. Then you want to compare the distance. So if this is my perfect entry around 2017, where is price right now? Price is around 2018. Okay, if my take profit and stop loss is 50 pips, then of course a 10 pip gap can make or break my trade. So I'll just wait for the retest of the trend line. And when we get that retest, so at this point, we want a retest and closure above. So this is the buy that I'm waiting for on gold. And in my opinion, this trade you can even take with a 100 pip TP, 100 pip stop loss. Ideally, also you want to, the other thing you want to do, if we're doing this, we want our stop loss to be below the trend line, so that's definite. Also possibly below the previous low where we had some demand. So this might possibly be a 100 pip trade. So you can still risk the same amount of money by using 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss, but for me this one, and given that this is a 4-hour bullish low, I'm expecting a spike in liquidity at this point. So I'm going to wait on this trade. The other one that I might enter early, you saw how price has broken below the 4-hour bullish low. If we get a candle closing up above the 4-hour bullish low, I'll enter this trade early, because if a candle closes above, I expect a spike in liquidity to pick up buyers. US 30 again, at this point, I'll just wait for US 30 to keep going down, and US 30 is very ripe for a reversal. So in here, I'll just go to my reversal chart. So you guys let me know if gold comes down to, let me see, right now it's at 2019. So my entry is about 2018 area. So let's see. Perfect, perfect. What am I saying? US 30? Yeah, US 30 is right for a reversal. So I'll come in here, do this. Point of interest. Okay, perfect. So for reversal for a buy, this is the 15-minute time frame. So I come in. So the other thing, I always look for reversals first on the 5-minute time frame. If I get stopped out of a reversal on the 5-minute time frame, then that's the only time I move to the 15, 30, and possibly 1-hour time frames. So for me here, the point of interest is the last time price was consistently above the 9 EMA. So right here. So around, just to make it easy for math, I want to say 450, but that will take it a bit high. So about 33, 430. So for me, a trend on US 30 is 500 pips. So what's 500 pips less that? It's 32,970. Again, I'm terrible at math sometimes, so bear with me. So 970 right here. So I am not interested. So this is about 970 right here. So what I'm looking for US 30, I'll do this and I'll mark this as 500 pips. And then, so the reason I'm doing that is because just by looking at it on the 5-minute, I can automatically identify a trend. Whether I identified the trend at this point, where's that replay? Whether I identified it here or whatever, right? Price has started being consistently below the 9 EMA. And actually, when I was doing the one-on-one session earlier this morning with Lorenzo, I don't know if Lorenzo's here, maybe not. We saw a breakout for US 30 using the breakout scanner. I think it was breaking out on the 5-minute. But I told him at that point, let me just, I would rather just wait since I didn't have any confluences at that point to enter. But at this point, even just taking this off, so right now, I have my point of interest. I've drawn my 500 pips. And then I come in here on the indicator and I say, I'm only interested in buys. You know, because I'm trying to catch a reversal, so I'm only interested in buys. Then you can either do one of two things. You can put an alert around 32,960 area, so that you get alerted when price comes to that point. So what we are looking for right here, we are looking for US 30 to consistently stay below the 9 EMA on the 5-minute time frame. That's all. We do not want a repeat. This is why we have a point of interest, because so if in doubt if a trend is still valid or not, always look at your point of interest. Your point of interest will always tell you when a trend will be invalidated. So the only time this trend will be invalidated is when we have a repeat of this. This is why we have a point of interest. But so long as we do not have a repeat of this, the trade or the entry is still valid. And this is what I want to see for US 30. I want to see it keep dipping down, and I want to see price being away from the 9 EMA. Yes, and again, be on the lookout. I know I mentioned this last time. Be on the lookout for these huge candles that account for maybe 20% of a move. So if at the end of the day, this one candle ends up accounting for maybe 40% or 30% of the move, go ahead and subtract the volume of this candle from your pipage calculation. So you can either add on to 500 pips the value of this candle. But so long as you have equidistant candles, they keep, you see like this trend up here, right? So long as you have equidistant candles remaining that way, the trend or the trade or the trend is still valid. So right now, US 30 is still going down. Again, I did this markup and US 30 is following that. Here, I do expect some sort of reversal. So this, and the reversal is coinciding, guess with what? With the trend line that I've drawn here. And this is a static trend line, and static trend lines almost always get retested. So for when US 30 gets down here, I will take a quick trade for like 20 pips. So remember, for these trades where you catch not the reversal, but you're catching a bounce off of a static trend line, especially if the trend has not completed yet. Now, if this was where we were expecting US 30 to reverse from, then maybe I would hold this for a higher move. But for right now, this particular one, I would probably go for like 20 pips. TP 20 pips stop loss, and ideally I'm going to use a higher lot size. Now, the best, the thing you want to be careful about here, you want your stop loss to be below this demand zone within a demand zone. So maybe instead of 20 pips, you do 30 pips TP, 30 pips stop loss, and something like that. Now, and then maybe go in the middle. You see like where this daily bearish low is, go around that. So let me see, this trend line is around 33,138. Let's see what's around 33,138. 33,138 is, so maybe it's the high of this. Yeah, it's actually the high of this demand zone. So
Supposed to
20.
be like a feeler trade.
No, for me, this ones I go with a heavy lot size. You can still risk the same amount. So it's the same. You can do 0.5% risk and still go with 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss. So this is not a filler trade. And if you
So
actually
what
think,
confirmation are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for the retest of this static trend line on the hourly. So that's what
Okay.
you want to, yeah, you just want for a touch of that trend line and you go in. So for me, for this trade, I can even go with a 1% risk, but however, for me, I'm already up 3% for the day. But for you guys, I don't like calling these trades on the live session, but for this one, I'll call it. So for this trade, just use a 0.25% risk. For this one, I mean, we're definitely going to get a bounce. Now, you shouldn't go for a 50 pips. So 30, yeah, 20 should be good. So 20 pip, around 138. So I'll just wait for that trade right there. Gold, and there you go. Gold is still coming down. I'll just, at this point, I'll just set, what's up?
You get a chance to analyze a GU sell reversal strategy.
Okay. Gold, I'm going to set a pending order for gold because I know I'm going to miss it. And also USD-CHF, literally that thing is still melting. It came back, retested my entry, and then it's still going down. Let me set a pending buy for gold. Oh yeah, so for this gold, 0.5% risk. So let me see where I'll set this. I'll set it at the bottom of this wick because the bottom of this wick is not too far away. So 2018.40. So gold, pending buy. I forgot how to set this. I don't even, give me 1 second. What lot size am I going to use? Five,
And that's 10-10. You usually do for gold.
for this one, do 10, but for this one, 50 should be good. 50 pips stop loss, 50 pips TP should be good. The only reason I'm going for 100, I want my stop loss to be below all these demand zones. However, so long as your stop loss is below the trend line and is below the 200 DMA right here, that's why I'm saying 50 should be good. Because if we get down here, you see we have a 4-hour bearish high. So for me, for this one, I'm just going for 100, but you should be good with 50. Because 50 pips, right? 50 pips from 2017 is 2012.88. Yeah, you should be, actually, you know what? Let me go for 50. You should be safe with 50 because here, again, you always, when setting your TP and stop loss, you want to see what's around you. So here, what's around you, you automatically, ideally, yes, you would want it to be below these demand zones. But since you already have a trend line here to the upside, you have a 9 EMA, you have a 200 EMA here. Yeah, 50 should be good because if price does come to the 4-hour bearish high here, then your trade is likely then to hit stop loss at that point. Yeah, so for this one, I'll do 50. I need to learn how to set a pending order using this trade manager. Give me 1 second. So
You
I'll
going
do,
for a buy and go?
yeah. In any case, yeah, even better. I don't have to wait for the trade manager. So I'm going for a buy on gold on the retest of this trend line. That's the best entry that you'll get. So whenever this trend line gets retested, that is when I'll enter the trade. Again, I want to make sure the distance between where price is at and where the trend line is not that much. So I'm still waiting. Let me do this calculation. So I'm going for 50 pips. So you should be good to enter. I'm entering. So for me, this rate 0.5% risk. For me, I'll go for a higher risk because I'm already up 3% for the day, so I can afford to lose even 1%. So the reason for the early entry is the trend line where price is at is not far away from the trend line. So that's the reason. So you can see,
motherfucker.
you can see this is 2017, this is 20. So it's only like 0.1 pips or something of the sort. So again, do not over leverage, 0.5% risk for this trade. Again, our win rate is very high. So you can see our win rate so far. So we rarely have like back-to-back losing days, if anything. So trust, so long as you're not over leveraging. So I'm in that trade. Did I put TP and stop loss? So all my trades I always put it. Oh, why did I? My stop loss is all the way 1968. I need to adjust this. I think, oh, I forgot gold here should be 500. Yeah, but I'm in the trade. The trade is valid to me. The trade makes sense. And then we'll just continue. I think Levi said analyze, but let me adjust my TP accordingly.
Yeah,
So
I'm in that trade too. I was gonna enter a GU sell, but I wanted to just take a look when you get a chance.
okay.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah, the GU sell. I'm in that trade also.
Okay. 2013. So here 2013-07 is my stop loss. My TP is, what's +5 of that is 2023-07. Okay, perfect. So I'm in that trade. Whatever happens, happens. If it hits TP, if it does, if it hits stop loss, then it hits stop loss. But the trade did make sense. GU. And again, do not over leverage. Do not over leverage for any trade. GU, GBP, USD. You said for a sell. Okay. So even without using the indicator itself, so I can definitely, so you guys said a sell, right? Okay, so if I'm looking for a sell, I need to look at for my point of interest, which was the last time price was consistently below the 9 EMA. To be honest with you guys, I see too many fake outs. So this is one area that's a point of interest because you had this many candles being below. However, if you still want to push it to be somewhere where you have a bit more candles, at the
That's
very,
where I was at. Right there is
yeah.
where my point of interest was, but it was so much up and down after that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so if I was really looking even to push this, so if I do this, and again, remember some of this areas or points of interest are relative, but if I was to accommodate that, my threshold would be 25,044. So 25,044 somewhere around here. Okay. So here you have 50 pips. All right, so you're not interested in any sell that comes up in this zone, and then you come in here, you're interested in sells only, no buys since you're looking to take a sell. Okay, so this sell did meet the threshold. Let me see if my settings are right. 39 close. Okay, so what sell did you guys enter? Did you enter this one? So yes, this one,
Yeah,
it was
that's one, yeah.
I just got back in when it got back around that sell area, but yeah, that one.
So if you did a 50 pip stop loss, 50 pip TP. Okay, so you'd have been in drawdown about a couple of pips. Now, the only issue I have with this trade is I don't like seeing this. Oh, so this is fine for a point of interest. This, I don't like seeing. I don't like seeing this. I don't like seeing this as part of the trend. It is valid. Again, even for this, it also depends. What's your definition of consistently above or below the trend
And
line?
that's
Now,
why I wanted you to look at it because I
yeah.
wouldn't have got in it.
Now, for me, I don't want to.
wishy-washy.
Like one candle, I don't want to see two or more candles being above or below, two or more consecutive candles being above or below the trend line. I'm sorry, the 9 EMA, that makes sense. So that's why for which one did I point out? Was it AU? Yeah. So if you compare this with what I drew up on AUD USD, oh yeah, AUD USD, you will see that for me, this reversal look at the price action around the 9 EMA. It's much more cleaner. Now, this one candle right here, to me, this was fine. This one closing above because the next one came and closed below, right? Compare that to what we have on GU. Compare that to what we have on GU. Right, I had an issue even drawing a point of interest, because for me, in any case, if I was actually drawing a point of interest, this would be my point of interest right here. But if this was my,
What about the one below? I used the previous point of interest where
yeah,
there was consolidation.
yeah,
No,
this
the
also,
one below, the one before. So
this
where
one,
there was
right?
consolidation, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the perfect one. Yeah, you're right. So this is the perfect one. Now, if you did this, sorry, do this.
So it's about 60 pips from that point.
Yeah, so if you did this and you did the sell, turn down sells only, so you're not interested, so you wouldn't have been interested in that sell. But even for this, so for this, my issue would have been this right here. However, at this point, right, we had a reversal. So I would have known either way, right? This was a reversal to the upside, and price was going up. So yeah, you normally, after a reversal, you normally expect some retracement. So this right here would have been an issue for me. Also, let me point this out. If you're catching if you're trying to catch a sell here, look at structure. So that's number one, right? That's another thing to help you with Confluence. So look at structure too, because it did this, did this, did this, did this. So where's the next area for structure to be completed? Around this zone. So around that zone, where's the next point of structure? Around this zone right here. So that's one part you need to know. Okay. So by drawing this here, 50 pips, so you wouldn't have been interested in this cell, you're right. You wouldn't have been interested in this cell, again, you're right. So you get this cell, yeah, so this cell too was valid. The only issue I have with this price action, not to say that it's wrong, again, you can see that it's playing out, but for me, just personally how I trade, I don't like seeing multiple closes below or above the trend line. If I'm sorry, above or below the 9 EMA, depending on what I'm looking for. Now, it doesn't mean that that's not going to, it might be a strategy in itself, but this reversal that I trade, I don't want to see multiple closures above or below the 9 EMA. If
The
that
only
makes
thing I was
sense.
worried about with it is it's a death cross coming, but it was just another death, like literally just a golden cross not too long ago.
Yeah, so I would say, so the way personally I came up with this points of interest and 50 pips and whatnot, I literally just back tested. So you can, if this is a pattern, I mean, it might even have a higher win rate than than the one I use personally. But what I would say, look for the similar pattern in any instrument and back test it. See how did price react. So the reason I like using the one I'm using is because after backtesting it, I've found that it has a high win rate. Now, I never backtested that price action, but what I would advise you, just find a similar pattern in the past, go ahead and backtest it, and then see if it works. If it works, then go ahead and you can still be looking at those areas. That's all I would say. But yeah, so this right here is a valid sell for me. Is a valid sell area for me, given that it has met the threshold. It has also completed the first part of structure. However, I realized that it might go to the next point of structure before any possible reversal right here. So just know that if you enter this sell on GU, so after you enter any trade, and that's why I was talking about the gold buy that we took, always look at where price is likely to go. As much as a trade is valid, always consider where price may go. So you can be in this trade and well and good, it can come back, it can go and hit TP for you, or the opposite can happen, right? So you want to minimize the chance of getting faked out. So you might enter, have like $5 profit, and then the trade goes like 80% into drawdown, and then comes like that. What was that Desire we entered? NZD-CHF that took like 5 days before, 5 days in drawdown, and then faked out, wicked us out of stop loss, and then dropped back into TP. So always look at where, and this is the importance of looking at structure. Always look at, once you enter a trade, where is the trade likely to go, and then adjust your stop loss accordingly. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, but for me, this is not a trade. It is a valid GU sell, but based on how I analyze the consistency of price action along the 9 EMA, it's not a sell I would be looking for.
Sorry, Michael, just to confirm. So you're saying that it's not the cleanest setup because
Yes.
price didn't remain consistently above
Yes.
the
Yes.
9 EMA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. So US 30, we got that pump up to the upside. So gold, let's see what we have on gold. So gold is still, so there you go. That, and this is why I said you want your stop loss to be below the 200 EMA at most. Ideally, I would have wanted it below this demand zone, but that's fine. Now, what we need to be concerned about here, we need to realize that price broke below our static trend line. We did not get that bounce we normally look for on a static trend line. But here we can see that price is being supported by the 200 EMA, which is why I said make sure your price or your stop loss is below the 200 EMA. The other one we want to see, so this is the weekly low. So if you have my markups, keep in mind I start moving the weekly high and low around Wednesday or something in order to give price time to move about. So for here, what we would be concerned about for this trade is after you get a break of a static trend line, you normally expect a retest. So this candle is looking to retest this trend line, which is also coinciding with the 9 EMA. So at that point, which would ideally be bringing the trade back to break even. For me, the trend is still to the upside. The only time I would be looking to cut this trade is if we get a closure below the 200 EMA. I would be looking to cut the trade early. But as of now, gold to me is still bullish. Again, you can see this inverted head and shoulders on the hourly. So I'll just delete that to avoid a lot of markups. This is an inverted head and shoulders on the hourly. So I still expect gold to shoot all the way up. In any case, it is possible to get wicked out of this trade and they come pick up liquidity around, because this right here, you have supply zones within supply zones. So you have a bunch of buyers sitting here. But for me, the trade is still valid. I'll let it keep running. EU, I see a sell on EU because here, if we do our trend lines, we don't have any static trend lines for now. But I do see a sell on EU as well. As much as we have the sell on EU, I don't like seeing these sells and we are in a gold buy, given that this EU and gold and even the GU we were looking at ideally move alike. But the gold buy does make sense to me, but EU right now is still consolidating. But let's see if we can get anything on US 30.
What is your stop loss on gold?
50 pips. So my stop loss on gold is 2012.78, around 2012.78 area. Yeah, so gold US.
Thank you.
So I'll adjust this weekly low right here. So US 30, I don't think we'll get that reversal we're looking for on US 30. Yeah, so we won't get this reversal we're looking at, because again, I don't like seeing this. I don't like this consistent closure above the 9 EMA while looking for reversal. So that's fine. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, right? No need to force anything. So for right now, we are getting a closure. So this is another, so part of our other strategies was closure above the 9 EMA, retest and closure above. However, for that, we need a trend line. So we need a lower high to be established here. And then we need to a high low to be established in order for us to draw the trend line. If you guys can hear interruption, they're mowing the lawn in the back. So if you can hear the interruption, but if you go in the 1 minute, you'll see that. You'll see there's already, I'm sorry, not a lower high. You'll see there's a lower low. So we're looking, so personally I trade on the 5 minute. I stopped trading on the 1 minute. So what I'm looking for, what I would be looking for a buy on US 30, I like this. I like how they're going into demand zones. What I would be looking for, if this pattern is to be invalidated for now, I would be looking for a lower low to be created. And then I would be looking for a high low to be created. And at that point, I'll draw a static trend line from this lower low to this high low. But for right now, there's nothing really for US 30 as is right now. So the only trade we are in right now is gold, and that's it. So again, this is the time you guys can ask questions, any questions that you guys have. And I'll put my indicator back here. I don't know why I took it off on this chart. So I'll go back in here. I'm not interested in buy and sell signals. I'm not interested in the super trend. Okay. Yeah, so for gold, if this inverse head and shoulders is to be is to come up, we expect this zone or this under the weekly low to be a high low that's created, so that you have the left shoulder is the lower low, the head is this lower low, and then you expect a high low for the right shoulder, right? And you can look at this, look at how prices reject. So in any case, this 200 EMA can also be an area to size in, but I don't want to size in for gold for right now. But you can see the importance of the 9 EMA and the 200 EMA. Those two EMAs should dictate where you're putting your stop loss, where you're also putting your TP, and an area where you can size in at. So that's the importance of knowing how those EMAs move and the purpose of them. So here, let me put this one on this chart.
So in this gold trade, I think I missed it because I stepped away. You probably mentioned it. What would invalidate our buy right now?
What would invalidate a buy is if we get a candle that's closing below the 200 EMA. So if you get a candle closure below the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, that's an area to start looking of cutting the buy early. Yeah. But to me, the buy is still a valid buy. Right. Change this. So for this one, for me, I just like my candle color to change. If you don't want your candle color to change on this indicator, just uncheck that box and you'll have your regular candles. I know there are people who like seeing a bullish or bearish candle. For me, I just like trading with the trend. So,
And just for just to get an idea of your mindset for the GU trade, what would invalidate that one?
what would invalidate the GU, the sell? Let's see.
Yeah.
So for me, the GU one, in any case, I would look to sell at the structure at the top, if that makes sense, right? Because right now it definitely did complete structure. However,
That's what I was that's what I wanted to hear. So you would
Yeah.
say it should have just waited for it to complete the structure to the upside, all the way
Yes.
up to the upside, and then take the sell.
yep, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But at the very least, this zone, 125, 300, because we have, so remember, structure does not always have to be completed to the pip, but you want to see some other structure that they can stop at that point and then reverse. So maybe around 1.25, and also we are not in this trade, I was just marking up that. But yeah, so maybe if not 1.25, 370, 1.25, 260 area. So yeah, but at this point, I'm expecting these things to keep pumping up. So there goes US 30, and I'm expecting gold to all. The only thing with gold, so you can see all these other instruments, we have static trend lines. We don't have static trend lines on the 5-minute for US 30. For EU, we do not, we have this high low to this. So remember, static trend line always has to come from, has to connect 2 points of 2 high low points. So that's a static trend line. So for EU, we do, you can see EU is squeezing. We do have an hourly bullish. So for EU, we have nothing but bullish zones even at the bottom. We do have an hourly bearish high. But you see for gold, the issue here would be, yes, we're in sell zones. However, we do have a 4-hour bullish high here. We do have an high time frame, an hourly inverse head and shoulders. As much as we don't trade patterns per se, we just look at them for confluences. The only issue here is if price stays below the 90. So two things. So here where price is at, price is in between the 200 EMA to the downside and the 900 the 9 EMA to the upside. So price is ideally being squeezed. Now we do have a trend line that was broken, a static trend line. And remember, static trend lines are more powerful than hanging trend lines. So a hanging trend line is, for example, this one, right? A hanging trend line comes from established high-low area to another area that's not yet established, but you anticipate it. So for this inverse head and shoulders to complete, we expect this zone around 2012 to be a high-low. So this is why this is a hanging trend line. Now, hanging trend lines, because they're not established, anything can happen. Price can easily break through them and close above or below. But for price to break above or below a static trend line, it needs a lot of liquidity. Now, the issue here with this buy is that we had this heavy candle that broke below our established static trend line. And then price is being held down by the 200 DMA. So right now, the saving grace for this trade is the 200 DMA, which is what I'm saying. If we get a candle closing below the 200 DMA, that's where you should look at possibly exiting or closing part of your position and then just waiting for the next trade. But so long as price stays above the 200 DMA right now, we should be good. The other price can also give you, so remember, we haven't retested this static trend line because after a static trend line is broken, we normally expect a retest of it. So if we are going to get a retest of this static trend line, we are going to get it around our entry point, which is around 2018-15 area. So at that point, if you're still not comfortable with it, for me, I'm holding this trade. Whatever happens, happens. The trade made sense to me. But if we do get that retest around the trend line and you're not comfortable holding the trade, price will give you an opportunity to exit the trade early. So that's just where to exit at loss and where to exit at break even. I'm pretty sure we'll be given those two entries. But for me, the trade made sense to me. So I don't like worrying about trades after I get into them, because I look at mostly after you get into a trade and it's not going well, you see everything that can go wrong with it. And then you either end up closing in drawdown, and then the trade goes into profit after you're done. So for me, that's why my most important thing when I'm trading, does the trade make sense to me? That's it. Yeah, does anybody else have any other questions? I don't see us getting any entry. We need a lower low to be created for US30 to even think of doing anything. So US30 for now, but observe these trend lines on the hourly. This trend line, this static trend line right here, when that trade comes, and it will probably be after the live session, I will look to catch a trade right here. And for that one, I'm not going to send it on the live on the Discord, because it's going to be 20 pips stop loss, 20 pip take profit. So by the time, unless I tell you guys to put a pending order, you're not going to have enough time. So there's the lower low. You're not going to have enough time to enter that trade. So if it comes up after the live session, for me, that's just what I'll enter. So yeah, so right now, for the reason I want this lower low is now that, so price is in a demand zone. So price is in a demand zone, and if I expand all these areas, we have an hourly bullish low, we have a 30-minute bullish low as well, hourly bullish high, 30-minute bullish high, 15-minute bullish high, 15-minute bullish low. So we have nothing but buy zones right now. But since I don't want to, so right now, since we have an established lower low, there's two ways you can enter this trade. So the first one would have been this buy right here, but that would have just been a FOMO buy per se. So the reason you want a lower low is so that you can draw a trend line. So right now we can start drawing a trend line. So this trend line is a hanging trend line. Unfortunately, price is so far up that this is, this is ideally not a trend line I would be likely to draw. So we want a trend line. So let's go on the 1 minute and see if there's any other better trend line we can get. On the 1 minute as well, we have this lower low. So on the 1 minute, this is an established trend line. If we come back on the 5 minute, which is where I trade from, you can see how high that trend line goes. So at this point, I just feel like I'm just looking for a reason to buy. So I'll just go ahead, delete that trend line, and then I'll wait for US30 to create a high low on the 5 minute. Once that happens, I draw my trend line from the lower low onto the high low, and then I wait for the retest of that trend line. And don't worry, if price wants to keep going up, let it go up. Because if you think about it, if we get a retracement and we get a trend line this way, So let me just delete this markup for now to avoid confusion. We get such a trend line and we get a high low here. Guess what? The next time the trend line is getting touched is the same zone, is ideally still a demand zone. So at that point, you just wait and then you enter. So there's no need to chase this trend line that's stacked this way. Keep in mind, price can still give you the same entry at the same area, right? If you get a high low established. So at this point, I'll just wait for a high low to be established because I just feel like I'm just going to FOMO into a buy for US 30. So yeah, so at this point, this is the only trade. I'm in a USD CHF sell that I took earlier when I was doing a one-on-one session. So let's go over the breakout scanner. So this is where I got the USD CHF sell from this morning. So let's see. So let me go over the breakout scanner. Same thing I did with Lorenzo this morning. I don't know if he's in here. So let me explain something for this, right? So we have NZD CAD sell on the 15-minute. So what you do, you come to the chart. So you don't have to use this chart, but I'll just use the chart that has a breakout scanner. So remember, the breakout scanner indicator, you don't have to put it, you can put it on any asset. The only thing to notice about the breakout scanner indicator is that the breakouts you're getting, they're dependent upon what time frame is on here. So I can have it on NZD CAD, USD, US 30, whatever. I'm going to get the same results. The only difference is if I change the time frame. So right here, I can see that we have a sell on NZD CAD on the 15-minute time frame. Now let me go ahead and clear some of the things in here so that I give you guys the logic of this indicator. So I'm not interested in this plots right here. I'm only interested in this one. Okay. So the way as is right now, if we look at the settings, the breakout EMA length is 50. So here, it's ideally, you don't want to use the 9 EMA, for example. You can still use it, but the reason you don't want to use the 9 EMA here you want to use a slower moving EMA. The reason for that is if you get a breakout from a slower moving EMA, the probability based on the way this indicator is configured, the probability of going into profit is higher. Okay, test pips. Test pips here, this should remain 50 for everything. However, if you do want to change individual, so if you look at this, we have like 30 or however many instruments in here. Most of them are Forex pairs. So if 50 doesn't work for you for Bitcoin for US 30, you'd come in here, just go to gold or US 30 in here and change it to say 100 in here. But for me, I just leave it as 50 for everything. But if you look at where is US 30, I just did 100 for US 30. You'll see here, it changed to 100 right here. So you can change whatever instrument you want to change in here. And also 0 is ideally default. If you put 0 in here, it will default to what you have as the test pips. So if I go back, I'm not interested in this EMA as well. I'm only interested in this one. So this EMA in light blue here is a 50 EMA, or is the EMA you're going to put in here. You're going to put under test pips. So what this means is that 50 for if price closes 50 pips away from the test EMA, you get a sell signal. So this is why we have that NZD. What is that? NZD CAD breakout for a sell. And you, right? This is what I'm telling you guys. Just memorize or be good at one of these indicators, and you don't even need listen, like the breakout scanner will almost always give you at least 2 good trades a day. So do 50 pips TP or however many, whether it's 20 pips, however many you want, TP and stop loss. Or if you're doing this, you can do your stop loss above the high of the trend. You know what I mean? So above the other side of the breakout. So if it broke out to the downside, do your stop loss above the other side of where it could have broken out. You go here, and then this zone was what? So this was ideally about 200 pips. So you do 200 pips TP, 200 pips stop loss, and you're in the trade. This trade would have been a no drawdown trade. Now, for me, when I'm using the scanner, since I already know this logic, I'm not interested in buy and sell signals. So I turn off the buy and sell signals. You can turn off the reference EMA if you want. But then if you just want to clear everything out, just turn off test MA plots and you have like a blank. So for example, this is how I normally have mine, because if I get a sell breakout, I go in here. Now, the other way you want to use this indicator. So for example, you can see if we turn this back on, we are a bit late to the sell for NZD-CAD, right? So you could have a strategy and tell yourself, I'm only going to be trading 15-minute breakouts. So that's step one. So then what you do every hour, just leave this breakout scanner on the 15-minute time frame. Come in here every hour. Look at, okay, do we have any breakouts? No, we do not. Come the next hour, do we have any breakouts? And then more than likely you'll catch a breakout after it has started. So for this one, the breakout started 30 minutes ago. So if we actually came in here about 30 minutes ago, we would have easily caught this NZD-CAD sell. But right now, if you enter it, you're ideally just trying to chase it. So this is not a sell I would enter in any case. So this is the opposite of that. You can use this indicator in two ways: to help you catch a breakout or to help you catch a reversal. So right now, since I know NZD-CAD is breaking out for a sell, and I don't even know what's happening on gold. Okay, so gold is still, and so you can see it's breaking out to the downside. So that's fine. So long as you didn't over leverage, that's fine. So now, if I didn't catch this sell on NZD-CAD, what's the other thing that I can do? Since I know what happens after a breakout. After a breakout comes a trend. What happens after a trend? After a trend comes a reversal. So come in here, do the same thing, NZD-CAD. Since I missed the sell, I say, you know what? I'm going to wait for the reversal for NZD-CAD. So I'll do this, come in here for NZD-CAD, right? I can automatically see a trend. So do my point of interest right here. My point of interest is around 84. I'll just call it 84,000 just to help with math. Ideally, it's somewhere above that. So what's 50 pips? And you can see it's dipping. We might get stopped out on this gold as well. It looks like some instruments are dipping. 83,500. Draw your 50 pips right here. 50 pips is 83,500. Again, right, these scanners are doing all the work for you, all the work for you. All you have to do is just draw a little bit of manual stuff. So come in here, do that, say, I'm not interested in sells, I'm only interested in buys. That's it, 30, that, and then just wait for the reversal down here. So for me, since I missed the sell on NZD-CAD and I don't feel like jumping into it right now, I'll just wait for NZD-CAD to do its thing. In fact, I want the sellers to keep making the money so that I can now make my money as a buyer. So you always want to do the probabilities. So does that make sense how to use the breakout scanner and the logic behind it? For those of you who already have access to it, EuroCAD, the same thing, right? So you can also tell yourself, I'm only going to be taking breakouts based on the 30-minute time frame. So you come in here, put your scanner, put your indicator on here, go to the 30-minute time frame, only look for entries on the 30. Personally, I look for, I haven't started testing or back testing the breakout scanner. So hopefully in like 2 or so weeks or a week, I'll have feedback. But I can assure you guys, I'll just go and find one time frame that works. Because if you think about it, lower time frames are bound to have a bunch of fake outs. So maybe you want to catch the trends or the breakouts on like 15-minute time frame or 30-minute time frame. And then you want to catch it on the candle that gives you the signal. So you see like this sell signal, no, this was NZD-CAD. There was a sell signal like on a 30-minute time. So for example, let's go to US 30. So US 30 had a sell on the 30-minute time frame. So for US 30, I'm pretty sure that's the sell that took price down. So if we go on US 30, let's see as it loads. There's the sell. Okay, so for this sell right here, you can see this one you'd have gotten faked out, right? If you entered a short position right here, depending on your TP and stop loss, I'm assuming maybe you went for 100 pips. So treat the breakout scanner as the reversal, right? Use double what we normally use. So don't do, if we normally go for 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss on reversal, I'm sorry, on a regular trade, don't go for that on a breakout or a reversal. So even though you used 100 pips here for US30, you can see you would have still been in drawdown. Now, the only thing, I haven't tested how many pips. For FX pairs, yes, 50 here works, like just for the breakout scanner. But for US30, to be honest with you, I just got this indicated whatever submitted last week, so I haven't gotten a chance because I was focusing on the EA that I'm having developed. But I'm thinking for US30 or gold, maybe 100 here. Anyway, for you guys who have access to this, go ahead and test that out. But I feel like maybe for US30, so let's see. If we change this to 100, let's see what we are gonna get here. 100. Yeah, I'll need to do a bunch of testing here, but that's how you deal with it. I feel comfortable catching the breakout on FX pairs for now, as opposed to US until I have like a definite workflow that I tell you guys, okay, for US30, this is how you do the breakout or whatnot. But for right now, everything that I'm doing for the breakout, for the breakout scanner, I'm just leaving it on the 5-minute. But yeah, that's how you catch it. So US30, nothing as of yet. Gold, so this is the point you can catch, you can cut your trade loose. 2014, so for 20 pips, yeah. So right now, you can cut the trade loose. So here, just reviewing the trade, what went wrong? Was the entry valid? Yes, the entry was valid. Price was around. So keep in mind here, this can still be a valid inverse head and shoulders. So here I do see us possibly getting faked out and gold reversing again heavily to the upside. So keep in mind this high low has not been established. This inverse head and shoulders is still a
On the
valid
5-minute, isn't that a regular head and shoulders, low key?
on the 5-minute. Let's
Or
see.
close to it?
There's a lot. So I see an inverse head and shoulders. I see sort of a M pattern. So I see this high right here and this high. So on the 5-minute it's not clear, but on the hourly, this is an obvious head and shoulders. Now I wish this had already been established as a high low, because this trend line would be static. But right now our trend line here is lagging. So I would not attempt to catch any sizing right here. So never catch a sizing on a hanging trend line. So a hanging trend line is a trend line that does not have 2 or at least 2 high low points. So if we had a high low here, I would scale in gold with a big lot size right here, because I would expect a reaction or a rejection. Now, price can still reject. However, the probability of price rejecting from a hanging trend line is not as high as price rejecting from a static trend line. So at this point, let's see. So our stop loss is 2012.77. 2012.77. So we can get stopped here. Look at where the high low, because I'm still expecting this to be established as a high low if this inverse head and shoulders is to materialize. So the high low would ideally be established around 2011.75 or 2011.50. So 2011.50 is around here, around this lower low. So yeah, for me, this trade, I'll just let it go. I did personally, I know I said 0.5%. What did I say? 0.5 or 0.25? I forget what I said. Oh, no. Yeah, this one was 0.5. 0.25 was supposed to be for US30. Yeah, for me, I'm still in this trade. I went, since I'm already up 3%, I think I risked 1%. So if this trade hits stop loss for me, I'll just be down 2% for the day. So yeah, the trade just, my stop loss for me is somewhere around here, like somewhere around here. Yeah, but for me to re-enter now this trade, I am still expecting gold to go up. The only time that my bias for gold to the upside will be invalidated will be if this candle or the next hourly candles close like we have this. We have something like this. We have this closing as a strong hourly candle, bearish candle, and then we have a retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly and then continuation. So this is the only time I'm changing my bias on gold. However, if this zone is to hold, if this 2011.50 is to hold, that means we will definitely get a high low on the hourly. And if that is created, that will create a static trend line on gold on the hourly, and they will use that trend line to push gold up to the upside and complete the inverse head and shoulders. So now we also do have a death cross forming. Again, I'm not worried about this death cross for now. The reason I'm not worried is that if there's a death cross right now, the previous golden cross was what, an hour ago, an hour or two ago. So price did not go so far away from the golden cross. So I'm not worried about the death cross. Now that death cross, they can use it to stop people out, like people like us out, and then reverse to the upside. But for me, this trade did make sense. And if I take the loss, then I take the loss. I just wait for another one. Yeah, so US 30 reversed, kept going up. So you can see they don't always have to come and give you that perfect retest of a trend line, because you can see US 30, they did not give us that. But that's fine as well. Anyway, so we have 5 more minutes till the live session is over. Does anybody else have any questions regarding anything? Okay. Now, if you do have any confluences for a sell on US 30, for me right now, I do not have any confluence. I know we just got a sell signal. I don't trade signals by themselves. But if you do have other strategies out there that you use and it's telling you gold is going to sell, let me give you another confluence for a sell. We have a death cross that's forming, and ideally, after a death cross, you expect price to go to the upside. So if you are just waiting for one more confluence for a sell on gold, I just gave you one. As much as that's not good for my buy position, that is a confluence. But for me, with all my strategies that I use to enter this trade, the death cross does not really phase me in the buy that I'm in. Okay, questions? Hopefully everything made sense to you guys. All right, so far, let's see. And you can see here's the importance of patience, right? This month, the first 3 days of this month, I was on vacation. We didn't have any live session. The first 2 days after I came back from the live from vacation, we had a win of 0.5%. Then the next day we had a loss of minus 0.5% on a Friday, right? Then the first 2 days of last week, we didn't have any trades on the live session. That's why they are zeros. On Wednesday, we only had a gain of 0.1%. Then on Thursday, we had like 2 trades that won back to back, 0.625%. Then on Friday as well, this past Friday, we had 2 trades that won again back to back, 0.625. And we were up, we already up this is the 3rd week of May, right? So we are up about 1.3% only for May alone. So as much as we haven't traded for 5 days, just for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trading days, if you break that down, that's like what, 0.25% each day. So if we don't get any trades, that's fine. That's why I never want to force any trades. Also, like I always like to look at our win rate, right? So as much as there's days we never traded, as much as like this day we lost during news, we still ended up the month of April with ideally a 4% gain, and that's only with the live trades. That's not even counting signals. That's not even counting reversal trades that you could have taken by yourself. That's not even counting the breakout. So just trust the strategy. If something shows up for you guys, just go ahead and enter it. And then so long as you're not over leveraging, you'll always be fine. So yeah, any last questions? Or anything that you guys need me to analyze? And hopefully I'm not muted. Okay, let me see the chat. GBP pairs took a sell. Who took a sell? Oh, Steven. This is the master right here. This is the guy that was the, I know Steve, I think Steven also owes us a live session. So Steven, let us know when you're down to do a live session for us, because yeah, Steven can the way he analyzes the markets will make you see, you know, like how price moves. So that's how, like, for example, on US 30 today, when I told you guys that price was in a no man's land, and ideally I know price moves from one area of liquidity to another, you know, like that I learned from Steven, because he said that there's no need to try and catch something that's not already there. Wait for price where there are buyers, wait for price where there are sellers. Ideally, wait for price where there's liquidity. Because if you enter a trade where there's no man's land and just FOMO, you can either get trapped in consolidation, end up holding trades for about 5 hours or so. But if you're a scalper, you want a trade to go ahead and hit either TP or stop loss real quick, and then you move to the next trade. So, hopefully one of these days, I'll talk to Steven and see one of the days he can hop on and do a live session for you guys. Yeah, but other than that, I do not see anything else. EU, I did say I was seeing a sell on EU, and there you go. EU broke this trend line to the downside. Did we miss this? Yeah, we actually missed this. Broke this trend line to the downside, retested the trend line, had a death cross. Oh yeah, we could have entered a sell here on EU, but it's fine. Whatever happens, let it happen. I'm already in a trade and I'm in drawdown, so I'm not going to force anything. Questions from you guys?
I have 2 questions.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me because I'm a little bit late to the party, but the EMA indicator that you use for the
Mhm.
200 and the 9,
Mhm.
are you just going under the indicators and into the technicals and adding like the stock
Yes.
EMA from? Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
if
just
you
do you just
search here,
add 2 of those and change one to 9 and change the other to 200?
correct. Yes, just that.
Okay. Okay. And then my other question was as far as the signals,
Mhm.
the ones that come through at nighttime, how do you take those?
So for the signals, I had an account that was taking gold, US30, and NAS signals, because I found those were the signals that were ideally, even the others are probable, but I just liked them better because price moves a lot with them. Now I do have, well, it's not mine, but there's this called Telegram copier.
Oh,
So
okay.
Telegram
That's what I was
copiers. Yeah. So this is the one. So if you get it and you have access to my signals and you need help configuring it. So I got this like 2 years ago. I got the one for $100 lifetime for 2 MetaTrader accounts. So this is the one I have. I know all their settings and how they work. So if you ever decide to get any of those and you need help copying my signals, just let me know and I can walk you through it. I've been using it for like two years on and off. So I know all their settings in there. There's this other one, Telegram FX copier. It's ideally the same, does the same thing, but again, I don't have this one. I know this one is a bit more expensive than the other one, which is probably why I got this one, because back then I didn't have as much money. But this one is only like $50 or $100 cheaper or something. Yeah, but if you ever install it and you need help copying signals, let me know. The only thing to know is that the way they copy the signals, they copy them on impulse, right? So like right now, right, the gold cell, that the signal that came, I'm pretty sure this was it. So my copier, and for right now I turned it off because I'm focusing on testing my EA. So every week I'm always testing different things, but I would get so the signal was what? So if you have access to my signals, you get signals both in Discord and in Telegram. So the gold cell, so on the 5-minute time frame, 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. Now, if you use the Telegram copier, it would enter you on impulse, and right now you'd be in drawdown. Now, the way to trade the signals without the copier, if you're in front of the charts, always wait for the retest of the 9 EMA. So you don't have to wait for, if you wait for closure above or below, yeah, sure, you'll get maybe a better entry. But for me, if I got this sell here and I was looking to sell gold, I wouldn't sell it on impulse. I would just wait what it did right now and I would enter the sell. So this is how I would have traded the signal. So instead of entering it here, I would have entered it where it's at right now. So I'd have entered gold right now. I'm about to say we can hedge this trade, but I don't like being in opposite trades. So right now, this is how you would have entered that signal. Instead of entering it here, you'd have entered it here. Now, if you do this, you'll have a higher win rate than the signals or than the Telegram copier, if that makes sense. So it depends. Do you want to enter the signals? Do you want to wait for the retest of the 9 EMA, which will make you have a better win rate? Or do you maybe you don't have time, which is fine, and then you just want to enter on impulse? In that case, you see like how it said 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. You can risk the same amount and just do 100 pips TP and 100 pips stop loss. You'll ideally be risking the same amount, but ideally you want to give the most important thing with signals, you want to give room for a retest of the 9 EMA to happen. That is all. if that makes sense. Yeah, so
Okay.
if you ever want to maybe get that one and you need help configuring it, let me know and we can do a one-on-one and I can walk you through it. Also, there's like a YouTube, if you go on YouTube, there are people who compare this to like their experience using the Telegram copy and their experience using the Telegram FX copier. I feel like
Okay, yeah, I just
yeah.
needed something for like, because sometimes later at night,
Mhm.
there's signals that will come through when I'm just not, either I'm sleeping or something else. So the ones during the day I can take
Yeah.
manually. So
Yeah.
okay, that's a good solution though. Thank you.
Yeah. And be careful, especially with the BTC. Most of which is another reason I stopped taking the BTC signals. But I might unless does anybody here trade BTC? Because if not, I'll just remove them. I know Livy had requested it, but he said in any case I should bring GU or GU signals. Because the thing with BTC, you end up being locked in position. So you have a buy showing up on the 15-minute and then a sell showing up on the 30-minute. So you end up just being a zero-sum game with BTC. Now my next venture is to find an indicator that works with BTC, which I think we can use the reversal indicator for BTC. Give me 1 second. Are we still in this trade? Okay, perfect. So BTC, if not the reversal, because I've never found any system that works for Bitcoin. Now my EA is doing well with Bitcoin, but again, I'm still testing my EA for now. It's in testing mode. So let's see. I think I was backtesting Bitcoin today with the reversal indicator. Give me a second. So, and Bitcoin, let's try. So this is one. Here we want to do more. So we want to do like double. So let's try 50 here. Let's do close there. So we want buys at the lows and sells at the highs. So not bad. With BTC, I like going for 100 pips TP, 100 pips take profit. So if I buy at like 27,400, I want my TP to be about 27,500. So, okay, that's fine. Let's see what happens if we change this to 100. Okay, so you see at some point the breakout pips, so whether you're using, so that's why I gave those base values for like 30 or 40 for FX pairs, 50 for gold, 50 for US 30, because at some point, if you keep increasing this, it doesn't really change to some extent, right? Even if I hit okay, you can see these signals are still on here. So that's why maybe let's just leave it as 50 for now for BTC. I don't like trading BTC on lower time frames, so maybe 15 minutes. So let's see what's on the 15 minute. If I'm going on the 15-minute, I want this to be 0. Perfect. And then I want this to be possibly fast moving average here. Takes away something, so maybe leave this as close on the 15-minute. Okay, so I mean, not bad so far. I like to see these cells at the top. We have some of these buys at the bottom, however, 756, 856. Oh, actually, my bad. When I was trading BTC, I go for 500 pips TP, 500 pips stop loss, because $100 move on BTC is just like that. So for example, let's try a trade that may have hit stop loss, for example. So maybe this one, if I went for 500. Yeah, but this is what I do throughout the day. I just stay for like hours and hours backtesting these things so as to come up with the best setups for you guys. 921. Okay, so this would be 50,000 for 500 pips. So you can see this one would have hit TP, right? Because I go for a $500 move on Bitcoin, $500 TP, $500 stop loss. This sell, on the other hand, would have come in to take profit, but then that's the problem with Bitcoin. Most of the trades, like these trades right here, you get trapped. Now, I do have this little nice settings inside the indicator to get rid of. If I don't want those trades that come, opposite trades that come after each other, I turn on the squeeze filter. That should take off those. Perfect. So if I come in here, this buy would have hit take profit. This buy would have hit take profit. This sell would have hit stop loss, I believe. This buy would have hit stop loss. Yeah, this is the problem with Bitcoin. Let me see if I can further refine that. Let's do fast moving average here. Okay. So for Bitcoin, this would have been ideally just a fake, what is that candle? would ideally be faked out and then gone back into profit. Yeah, so Bitcoin, I'm going to find a way to come up with something that's good for Bitcoin, but for now, I don't know. For now, it's just a zero-sum game. Yeah, but for right now, for the reversal, just use it on gold, US30, FX pairs. But yeah, I'll definitely come up with something for Bitcoin for you guys at some point. Any other questions for today? Okay, so for gold, let's see, let me reanalyze all these three instruments. So US30 is bullish, gold is 50-50. Gold is not bearish fully. EU, the reason for that is because its price is around the 9 EMA and the 200 EMA. EU is bearish. EU just did a death cross and then it's coming back. Let me see right now. See, what do I want to do? So for EU, give me 1 second. I do see a sell on EU, but I want to make sure that it makes. So if I go for this sell, it's 20 pips TP, 20 pips, which means my gold will probably hit stop loss, which is fine if I'm analyzing it that way. 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss. So EU is definitely bearish. You can see we are moving to the downside. Give me 1 second. What did we enter? We used a 0.5% risk, right? So if I turn that off, you can see we're in an uptrend though. Both channels are trending to the upside, but you can see that where price is at, it's a sell area. So that's not a deal breaker that price is trending to the upside. Yeah, so I'm not going to call the EU trade. I don't feel like taking any other trade. And again, I don't like entering two instruments that move the same and then I'm in a buy on one and a sell on the other. I just, but there's definitely a sell on EU because you can see we have a static trend line to the upside. We also did have this death cross that should materialize, but based on how price is, this can easily be invalidated. This candle can push all the way up by picking up liquidity from the 15-minute bullish high. So, and also it's about 11. Yeah. Oh, good. Today we really have gone in. I normally stop live streaming at 11. So, yeah. So right now I'm only going to stay in this gold trade and just let it ride. Any other last questions? Okay, so remember the promo for the subscriptions is still running. So remember, you don't need to subscribe with me to make any money. I'm not looking to make money off of subscriptions. I already make a ton of money just by trading by myself. So this is only for the people who want access to the indicators, signals, and the charts access. So there are people, I know like Steven's charts are normally clean. For me, I have more markups on my charts. So that I can know where buyers are, where sellers are, so that I can know where the order blocks are. That's just how I'm used to trading. Hopefully in future, maybe my charts will be a little bit more cleaner, but this is what works for me. This is what gives me my entries, my near perfect entries. So the people who now, and this is just for this month, it's just $50 for the remainder of the month for everything. So at that point, I think to me, this makes sense if you just want to see. So I had all these things for free, indicators, signals, and charts I was giving for free before, ideally on a trial. But when I started this community, ideally focused on educating people. We did not have indicators. We did not have signals. We were just using, in any case, that's why I'm saying you don't need to subscribe to make money from me, because you can literally, my original strategies, they're free. Everything you need is free. The EMAs here, you can go on TradingView, search for the EMAs, free. Trend lines here are free, right? So when I started this community, everything we were using was free. Now, the only things I was charging is things that we started developing after the fact. Given that I'm not even charging you guys for the Zoom, I know even for the Zoom package, I had to upgrade to the premium Zoom package so that we can be able to do longer sessions. But anyway, to me, if you ask me, if I was a beginner trader, $50 just for a few weeks or for the rest of the month, instead of paying $200 eventually for everything, this makes sense. And at the end of this month, same thing I told the people who subscribed, you can make a decision. Have I found that I don't need the signals? Okay, then don't get the signals. Or have I found that I don't need the charts? Okay, then that's fine. Have I found that, hey, this reversal indicator, if I master it, it will make me money. Okay, just get the signal, and at that point, the what is it? That's the charts axis. The indicators only will be only $100 a month. So for 100, but like this AU trade, if you're on the live account, you would have easily made like 1,000. That's like paying for 10 months of your indicators only, and we're gonna get such trades. So for me, if you ask me, it definitely makes sense to get this. Again, I don't, trust me, 50, I don't need that but it just, for you guys, if you're still learning, and if you didn't get access for the free trial that I had, to me, I think it makes sense. If it doesn't, then I'll be seeing you guys on the live session where we're still making money. All these returns right here, they're not based off of trades that I take away from the live session. These are trades that I take on the live session, or trades that I send in the Discord, either in indices or commodities or Forex majors. This channel right here, Trade Ideas, I had this channel open for you guys. This is where you guys could have sent any ideas you had to other people in the group, but nobody has ever sent anything in here. Again, I know we are still growing as a group. So for right now, I've put this channel as private so you guys cannot see it. But in future, if somebody out there wants to share their trades, let me know and I'll reactivate this channel and you guys can go in there and analyze somebody's strategy or idea of a trade. So right here, it's not always about me. I would love for this community to grow so that I'm not the only one doing live session. Maybe we have somebody's good at trading Bitcoin. They come in here, join us, do the live session for us, and then show us their strategies. Best case scenario, we might partner and come up with a system to trade your strategy with us, and we all end up making money. So just think about it. If not, feel free. We'll always be out here making money together. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow for another trading day. All right, bye guys.